We were good.
Yes, thumbs up.
Yes.
Okay, all right. We will call to order this meeting of the Finance and Personnel Committee for September 17th. Can I get a roll call, please?
Jackson,
Here.
Heniro,
Here.
Lorman,
Here.
all present.
Great. All right. First item of business is approval of the minutes. I had relayed some corrections to Bill and he made those changes. And I wonder if colleagues have any further corrections to make. Hearing none, the minutes as minutes of the September 3, 2024 Finance and Personnel Committee meeting are approved as correct this afternoon. Next item of business is the audit of the bills. Bill, do you have updates for us? I'm hearing an echo.
Yeah. Anyone?
How is it
How are we
now?
now? Good.
Oh, you spoke at the same. It's like hearing a very weird echo. It doesn't even sound like my voice.
Okay, for the bills, I do have one addition this evening. That is the reimbursement for landscaping per the agreement that the city has for the retaining wall along Mendota Avenue. That is for Shelley and David Petzold in the amount of $10,721.20.
10,721
$721.20.
and 20 cents. So that's a little less than what originally was anticipated. Okay. All right. I'd like a motion then to approve the audit of the bills.
This is Jackson. I'll make a motion to approve the audit of the bills.
Lorman, second.
Right. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the audit of the bills with the addition of $10,721.20 for the landscaping project, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Moving on, I will ask the city attorney if any of the items coming up are for city attorney review and approval.
Let me just check. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
All right. If we come upon one, just let me know. Okay. The first item under resolutions, first of two, is resolution 2024-44, support for the 2025 regular urban forestry grant application. And this comes to us from PRFC. Can I get a motion to approve?
This is Jackson. I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Lorman, second.
Thank you. All right, discussion. Kylie is here. Kylie, would you go to the podium, please? So regular in the title is to distinguish this from the catastrophic storm grant that we approved last time, correct?
So this one is for the urban forestry grant application for 2025.
Okay, but it's last time we considered a catastrophic storm.
Yep,
Grant.
that was, yes, at one of the last.
So this is like more of a routine thing that we do. Okay.
Yep, the annual one.
And if 25,000 is the most the DNR would grant, why not try to get all of that?
We don't believe we need all of it. We've gotten a few quotes on the urban forestry strategic plan. And they didn't put it, we added a little bit in for the 16 to add in public involvement, and make sure we can, get the scope a little higher. But
Okay. And the plan, so is this $16,000 showing on the screen? Is that to write the plan or to implement the plan?
that's to write the plan.
To write the plan. Okay, but an additional 3,500 would go towards training?
Yep, that would be training, dedicated for Kevin Short.
Okay. And we we couldn't come up with other expenses like planting trees. I know we had all received a message concerned about the tree removal, which I totally understand why we need to remove trees, but it's my hope too that every tree that's removed is replaced by at least one somewhere in the city.
Yeah, I think tree planting, I hope that comes up in our urban forestry management plan. I know tree planting is the goal for the city and it should be the goal with the tree canopy, but one of our goals to get there and kind of a step to get there is to make sure that we're maintaining what we have and our deferred maintenance doesn't go higher and higher and by planting more trees. And so we definitely want to get there, but I think that urban forestry management plan will really help to showcase the next 5 to 10 year plan with our forestry services.
And this plan, the urban forestry management plan, will be a 5-year plan?
It should be a 5 to 10 year, like
Okay.
actually closer to a 10-year plan, I believe. And for all of the sites that we're removing trees, we tried to plant, we planted 150 trees this year. Typically our lowest amount is 75 trees that we plant in a year. So I think we can, or once those stumps are removed from the removal sites, we would identify them as future planting sites. And then also from our grant that we have going on right now for the urban forestry or from the DNR, it is, we are inventorying, and a part of that, we're hoping to get an inventory of all the planting sites in the city, so we can prioritize those and identify all the future planting sites.
Great. And is that inventory currently available on our GIS websites, but will it be?
Yeah, we do not have a full up-to-date inventory. We are doing a portion of it. We don't have enough funding to do the full inventory. So in our capital improvement, our capital requests for next year, we added more in. And as soon as we can get a full street tree inventory, we want to make sure that's all good to go before it would go public. But I think most of our GISing, once it's in a up-to-date status, we would look at doing so.
Okay, that would be great. I think people would be very interested in looking up the trees in their yards and neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Kylie? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving resolution 2024-44, support for the 2025 regular urban forestry grant application, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Right, the ayes have it. Moving on to our next resolution, 2024-45, amending the 2024 American Rescue Plan Act ARPA budget for tree removals. Can I get a motion to approve?
Thorman will make a motion.
Thank you.
This is Jackson. I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion.
This is the concern over removal.
Yep, this
not
is
replacement, yeah.
following through on our
But-
request to use some of the remaining ARPA funds. So the 2025 block won't be done until 2025, correct?
But by the end of 2025, we don't have that mapped out yet either because it's based off of approved funding
Okay.
for in capital and operational. So
And under ARPA, as long as we obligate or allocate the funds this year, we have until 2026 to spend it?
That's right, yeah. If it's under obligation, essentially under a contract, you have 2 years before you actually have to have funds.
Okay, good. Any further questions or discussion?
I mean, go ahead, Laura, David.
No, not.
My only concern was the same thing that we had that you piggybacked off earlier is I think we had a meeting sometime back where a guy came in and he spoke to us about we were under what we needed on trees. So my only concern is the removal, just like you said, for every tree removal, are we going to replace it? Because we're down anyway on what we needed on trees in Middleton.
I wonder if that urban forestry management plan will give us some guidance on that. how to-
Yeah, that's the intent of it. I think as staff, we can prepare and present our direction, but we can also have a professional review our up-to-date inventory and give a really good kind of future look of what we're planning on doing. So then we're all kind of on the same page. And also having a presentation from the DNR and from city staff is on our to-do list before the end of the year for forestry services. But removals are very necessary, and we're looking at all the street tree removals. They pose a high risk for liability in the city. We had one of these trees actually fall on a vehicle on Friday and had to go out and get the branch and remove it. So these are definitely in a need because they pose risk to damage or injury. So.
Okay. All right, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving resolution 2024-45, amending the 2024 American Rescue Plan Act ARPA budget for tree removal, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, the ayes have it. Moving on to agreements and contracts. We had two on the agenda, but the second one we're skipping until a future meeting. So the only item we have is amendment number 4 to agreement with Emmons and Olivier Resources, Inc. for Pheasant Branch floodplain remapping. And this comes to us from the Water Resources Group. Can I get a motion to approve the amendment?
Lorman will make that motion.
Thank you.
This is Jackson. I'll second that motion.
All right, thank you. Discussion. I have a question, Sean, and that is, this is all qualitative evaluation that's going to be happening?
I apologize. I meant to get a briefing from Eric before this, and I didn't have time for that. So I just don't know the details.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's, the agreement looks fine, or the amendment looks fine. It just struck me as interesting that I kept seeing qualitative come up in such a quantitative discipline. So, okay. All right, well, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving amendment number 4 to agreement with Emmons and Olivier Resources, Inc. for Pheasant Branch floodplain remapping, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to bids and quotes. We have 3. The first is award of bid to Van Eert Electric in the amount of $52,964.08 for the Terrace Avenue EV charging station. And this comes to us from the Public Works Committee.
On Public Works, Lorman will make a motion. to approve
Thank
this.
you.
This is Jackson. I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion. I had a question about the remaining $91,000. Because I think if I read this correctly, that we had budgeted more than the 53K.
Yes, and Ray McCurr, our design engineer, is still under contract to finish the plans for the mock and the police department charging infrastructure and put those out to bid as well.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the award of bid to Van Eert Electric in the amount of $52,964.08 for the Terrace Avenue EV charging station, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 2, award of bid to JF Brennan Company in the amount of $97,000 for the Lake Street kayak launch. This comes to us from PRFC. Can I get a motion to approve? Or to award the bid?
Lorman would like to make a motion.
Okay,
This is Jackson. I'll second.
thank you. Discussion.
So this already is, but just my understanding, I mean, this is part of the whole Lake Street project, so this is budgeted. Now we're just sending bits and pieces out for bid as we complete
Yeah.
the project.
Correct. So this,
Thanks.
yep.
Kind of it, that's all. Just-
I had a question about, first of all, about the memo, because I noticed that this memo is on city letterhead, but it doesn't, I don't think it's from city staff. Are those city staff members?
No, that MSA is contracted to oversee the bid or the entire bidding and construction oversight of this.
Okay.
So they did put from them, but I am CC'd on the bottom. I
Okay.
don't know if that's.
I think in the future it'd be
Yeah.
best to only use our city letterhead if it's city staff, because I kind of figured they were from MSA, but it doesn't
Yeah.
say that in there. So just a
Oh, yeah, it
note in
doesn't.
the future. And then also, if you scroll to the next page, Bill, when I was on Public Works, we always got to see the other bids. If there was, more than one bid.
There was only one on this project.
This one, there was only one?
Yep.
Okay.
So it's a complete.
Okay, maybe it was the Van Ert that had more than one. Okay. All right. Well, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the award of bid to JF Brennan Company in the amount of $97,000 for the Lake Street kayak launch, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. All right, the next and last bid and quote is the award of quote to Century Fence for installation of fencing and a gate at the Pleasant View Golf Course. And this comes to us from the Pleasant View Golf Course Advisory Committee.
Where is, oh, I'm sorry. Lauren, make a motion.
Thank you.
This is Jackson. I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Where's the gate?
Can anyone explain where the gate?
At the
That's-
front or?
So does anybody, do we have a picture where the gate is?
Maybe Sean can explain, because I know Public Works was kind of,
Public Works involved in this? No.
well, they were dealing with the, like,
I don't
yeah.
I know a little bit about this. I know Brian Gaddow's been involved in conversation, and I've been involved in most of those conversations. I don't have a drawn design, but in schematic, it would be to add a gate where the driveway splits off now to go over to the cell tower site. So that would be a vehicle gate, but it would also,
It takes a
yeah,
return where the pedestrian bridge is.
exactly.
Way down there.
It's kind of a Y intersection at a curve, the way that goes right now.
Interesting.
So we already put a bollard in the middle of that path to help keep drivers on the driveway instead of the pedestrian bridge. And we've put up several signs, but Jeremy is pursuing adding some limited fencing and a gate right at that cell tower driveway split off, which is intended then to help direct bicyclists kind of off to the edge of the driveway instead of right into the middle of that curve.
Yeah, and I can just add to that I know Jeremy has witnessed vehicles and individuals that have been up at the cell phone or the cell tower site, and given the proximity to the quarry, it's a potential safety hazard, having people that are going in and finding their way up that driveway. So I think this is intended to keep vehicles and make it clear that vehicles and pedestrians should not be accessing that site.
Right. And yeah, he had mentioned too, he'd seen vehicles parked there that he didn't know where they were walking, but somewhere, but it's not a public parking lot.
Yeah, that area is kind of a hot spot sometimes for local bicyclists. Felt they've been excluded from getting access to areas, riding through areas, and just want to make sure that whatever goes up there, they still have access to get to the trails and all of those things that are along the golf, that are to the right of the road of the golf course. Because the mountain bike trails back there and all that goes in. And if we.
Right. I think part of the longer term planning is to try to get some sort of off driveway mountain bike path or something like it anyway to help segregate motorized equipment from bicycles, but we don't have a plan for that yet, or much space for that matter.
I see, that was my question. Is this a permanent or mobile gate? Will the bikers be able to get past this gate, or we just locking that area off?
I think the bicyclists can go around the gate. It's intended across the cell tower driveway to keep vehicles from going into the cell tower space, as I understand it. But that it would also then help direct bicyclists, hey, go around to the right of this thing. Don't just go into the middle of a curve on a driveway.
So the cell provider doesn't want, they want to keep people out of there too, obviously.
I've not heard complaints from them. I think this is something Jeremy noticed himself and is taking it on. I suspect if they knew about it, this trespassing, the cell carrier, or I think that's actually a leased space up there, would care, presumably should care.
That's leased by them. That's our property, city property.
It's actually owned by, I think, Dick Bakken of Northwestern Stone, and then leased to a cell company.
Just wondering if they should take on some of the cost of this fence, but.
That's a good question.
Matt, did you have something to add?
Well, I'm just. Is this going to be a locked gate?
I don't know the details in that level. He was just talking about a gate. Certainly if it's locked, the cell,
Well, right.
well,
I'm
the
just saying, I mean,
owner.
This is over the portion of the drive though that we agreed to build
Yes.
to connect as a result of relocating.
Yeah, this is that alternate access, basically. Yep.
Yeah, anytime I see the word fence come up on something, I just know it's like red flag, red flag. We
Well,
put it
yeah,
in
I
and then
mean-
people are gonna show up and they'll be like, what? You
Yeah.
did
I mean, so
what?
so we're putting a fence across an easement that we have given to Northwestern Stone for the purpose of accessing the cell tower. And I think
That's, as I understand it, yes.
do we specifically limit to the cell tower use, or I recall maybe we also allowed for the quarry because they still access.
It was specifically disallowing quarry
Was.
trucks.
Okay,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember where we landed.
And that
on
was,
that.
yeah, discussed, but not allowed.
But I think we,
There's a
Would-
map.
So certainly if it's locked, they need to have a key because part of our easement is that they can have access unrestricted.
exactly, do we care?
Is this the first time you've seen this?
Yeah, no, but I guess I didn't realize, this is the first time I'd seen it. I'd looked at it a little bit, but I didn't realize. Well, I guess now that in retrospect, I can see, I didn't realize that this was what that was blocking.
Would you like me to postpone this until our next meeting so that you can make sure all the Ts are crossed and Is dotted and we aren't putting a fence where,
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
wanted to note that I know Jeremy had been working with Brian Gatto on this and that there was some urgency on Jeremy's part to try to address this. He wanted to make sure that this could go for action this evening because I mean, he's had pictures and seen vehicles parking up there and people accessing it. And with the quarry location, I think it's both a concern for people not just getting into the golf course, but also potential safety hazard there and trying to prevent this from progressing worse. So I think the intent is just to ensure that vehicles cannot park in that cell phone or cell tower lot. So the cell tower carrier would need access, city staff would have access, but you would prevent private vehicles from parking there and then people walking along the quarry ridge.
And that's, yeah, and I guess maybe I guess I would recommend maybe approval subject to final city attorney approval. I just like to make sure I understand what's going on so that we aren't putting up a fence that obstructs access to the Northwestern Stone site without their input and have a chance to go back and review the easement that we gave in conjunction, just to make sure there's nothing funky with that. But I mean, if we give that approval, then at least we don't have to wait for another meeting to, but I just think I want to make sure I have an understanding of exactly all that's going on
okay, thank you.
And-
So,
before we
I'll
actually.
add, we do have a locked gate across that driveway closer to the road already. This would effectively be a second gate
Second, okay,
over that easement.
okay. Well, I said, it might not be bad, but I just,
yeah, no, I
Especially given
appreciate the,
our contentious relationship right now
exactly.
with Northwestern Stone.
And
right,
that's one thing too. I understand the urgency, Bill. I just would love that we dot our I's across our T's on this one, that it don't come back around and we.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, so I will move to amend the main motion to add pending final city attorney review and approval. Can I get a second?
Or I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the motion to amend the main motion to add pending final city attorney review and approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Moving back to the main motion as amended. The motion is to approve the award of quote to Century Fence for installation of fencing and a gate at the Pleasant View Golf Course pending final city attorney review and approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it. All right, moving on to our, I guess, first miscellaneous item. An ordinance to update fee schedule for manager and operator licenses.
Yeah, this came at Lori's request. The first change is actually a correction to comply with statute. That I don't know why that was in the fee schedule as a 2-year period. Managers' licenses are only issued for 1 year. And then Lori had just requested an additional $10 to help cover the costs of doing the background checks on the operators' licenses.
Okay. All right, so can I get a motion to approve the ordinance to update the fee schedule?
This is Jackson. I'll make a motion to approve.
Or I'll second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the ordinance to update fee schedule for manager and operator licenses signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Our last item of business is a presentation and discussion of Capital Ice Arena, future plans and potential funding options with Legacy 20 and Capital Ice Arena representatives. Do we have someone here?
Yes, I do. We do have your presentation slides. in the
Yeah.
packet, so if you'd like, I can just advance through those.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can do that. Sure, that works. Get through the. I know we spoke, I think earlier, and it was spring now, time flies, but over the course of the winter, I think was
Can
the
you
first.
introduce yourself, please?
Sure, yes, sir. I am Andrew Jodry. Fancy title is President and CEO, but just in charge of the ice arena in Middleton. As you can see, the arena was built in 1999. The 30-year land lease. The intent was obviously to. Part of the reason it was built green was there was no association in Middleton at that time. But an option for the Madison Capitals youth program to grow and then to bring in Middleton youth hockey for the arena. So again, the intent was I'm getting it from the old Mayor Ramsey, from the Suter family, from Mr. Goodweiler. But the intent was for the city to lease obviously the land to the owners. The owners owned the building, built that in 1999, grew kind of the user groups and functionality of the arena over time. The intent was for the arena to be profitable and to the city to share, obviously with the land lease, share in the revenue that the arena would make on an annual basis in lieu of charging property tax and with the lease agreement. Hurdles that have kind of risen over the course of running an ice arena. 2013 was the first major one. 2018 was the next one, which was a much more significant investment, which really revamped the entire interior of the arena and added second floor mezzanine levels in a bunch of different places. So that is the situation 2018. Again, current landscape. We have a majority owner, him and his wife. It's Ryan Suter, it's Bob's son. The arena does need capital improvements. We are looking at new boards and new glass needed. If we can get them at a discount. That's all right. If we can get them at a discount through, sometimes NHL teams will, or colleges will sell you refurbished. We're looking at about $250,000 as an expense there. We need concrete to be laid underneath where the ice is. That is anywhere from 600 to 750,000. A roof will need to be done in the next few years. That is, well, estimates vary widely with commercial grade roofs, but you're looking at close to 70,000 square feet of roofing. So we're looking at anywhere from 700 to $1 million for that. And then those are just improvements that need to happen. What we would like to do is expand west, not falling onto town land, staying within the city, but expanding and adding locker rooms, classrooms, more amenities for viewing in the back of the arena. So I guess you can see there. So that is the situation we're in. The ask really, or the why, I don't know, Bill, how far you guys have gone with it, but is, our owner, in order to take out more, another loan or go to the bank to request a loan, a private loan through this business to do the renovations he'd like to do. Right now, there's no real equity in the building. So if the request is, would the city be willing to sell the land for $1, grant the land to the arena, kind of adjust the lease, modify that so that we have equity within the building and the land, and then be able to go the conventional ways through Lake Ridge Bank to do the renovations that we would like to do. The challenge, our owner just invested, he's part owner of a company that built a new project in DeForest, which is an indoor and outdoor rink. It has multifamily units, a restaurant, a brewery, and a bar over there. The challenge is they're owners of all of it, both the land and the arena, the indoor and the outdoor arena. Where this is right now, it's more of a tenant, which has been a really good relationship. But in order for us to be able to continue to grow with all the events that we have, the amenities need to be added at this arena. That's the feedback we've received from both USA Hockey, from the NCAA. Those are really the two major parties in hockey. We do have the state tournament back for 2 years, the high school state tournament, boys and girls. We did land Tier 1 USA Nationals next year with Verona. They needed 4 ice sheets. And we do have National Broom Ball coming in the spring, a 30-plus youth team tournament, an adult tournament next spring, along with 5 tournaments between now and the end of February. The reason I say that is we work with the Sports Commission regularly. I know I sent you the Wisconsin tourism statistics. The event alone in early April that we host with Verona, by their data and what we've received from USA Hockey, it's around a $1.2 million economic impact shared between Verona and Middleton over those 6 days. There's about 2,700 hotel rooms booked. Those are the events that in order for us to continue to bid on those and receive them and bring people and families and adults into Middleton, we know, we've been told, and we believe it, improving the amenities at the arena in Middleton are key to doing that. So we're not requesting any type of city funding in our efforts of renovating and adding on, but looking to, I guess you can read it here, to reverse lease, giving ownership of the land and improvements to the capitalized LLC. Obviously there would be a property tax, annual property tax that we would pay to the city of Middleton, regardless of how we do financially. But that is the proposal that we are putting forth as an arena on behalf of our owner who is living in St. Louis this year. It was a long, rambling speech.
No, it was fine. Thank you. Go ahead, Bill.
I just wanted to point out a couple of things that you have in your packet. You have a memo dated August 1st from when we were originally planning to have this on, and we had a meeting that we had to cancel and push this back. But this goes through a little bit of the history of the original lease agreement. As he indicated, it was a 30-year term. There are two 10-year extensions. Under the terms, the city had provided land. Captain Ice had constructed a facility, which was turned over to the city in conjunction with this long-term land lease. Thank you. Thank you. And then that land lease included some provisions for distributable cash that would be paid back to the city. However, those payments have been very small, and there have not been payments in recent years because basically cash generated from the facility has been reinvested in the facility, and under the way the terms were structured, there was not excess distributable cash for the city. Mr. Chowdhury just laid out their request, which is essentially to modify the current agreement, and from our understanding, they're requesting that the city provide the land and the facility to allow them to seek private financing for the improvements on the site. It would be up for the city to discuss what terms would be part of that agreement, replacing the current terms of the lease agreement. And then we had just laid out some options for the finance committee and ultimately the council to consider related to this request, potentially looking at an appraisal for the current value of the land and or facility, considering the requested donation or sale of the land, exploring the potential for looking at donating or selling the facility, but maintaining ownership of the land with a long-term land lease, considering potential terms of agreement or deed restrictions or other provisions the city would put in place for a facility. And then, one option would be to continue under the current agreement to revisit in the future. So that is not an exhaustive list of options, but just wanted to get the thoughts started here. What we discussed was having this initial discussion with the finance committee for action this evening, just for action, or if there are follow-up questions for either city staff or for Capital ICE personnel to work on, with the intent that we would bring this before the city council at a future meeting for potential action by the city council.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you, Andrew. So I'll see if my colleagues have any questions first. I have some, but.
No, you start, please.
Okay. So Bill, just to reiterate, we've never shared in the revenue that the arena has generated.
The city has received some revenue from the arena, but it was, approximately $1,000 a year for a number of years. In recent years, there have not been any distributable payments back to the city under the structure and the lease agreement.
Okay. And so I had a question for you, Andrew. How was money borrowed privately in the past? I understand the issue now that's been presented, that you don't have the equity, you don't own the land, and it's hard to get a loan. So how are loans negotiated in the
Good
past?
question. The major renovation that was completed over the course of 2018, our owner had to put up a personal guarantee.
Okay. And owner's not willing to do that again?
Would prefer not to. We prefer to access the more conventional way.
Are there any examples of similarly sized facilities operating without agreements like we have? I consider the agreement we have a subsidy. So I understand that you're not asking the city to give any money to this project, but at the same time, by selling valuable land for $1, we are giving money.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, is the business model a good one? And that's why I'm asking if there are any examples of similar facilities that are self-sufficient.
There aren't. Sun Prairie would be the most, Sun Prairie and Verona would be the two most similar. Verona just finished their second sheet. That one was mostly fundraised by a large gift from Epic, from Judy Faulkner. 2 other families, and then they did a fundraising drive amongst the community. That was about a $9 million add-on. They added a second sheet. But they would be the closest example to a facility locally that is busy. Sun Prairie would be the second one. I'm not as familiar with Sun Prairie's ownership structure, if that's a city or private city agreement, but that's another 2-sheet facility that has some of the same programming, same user groups that we do, both youth hockey and high school. To your question about the financial aspect of it, I think my role beforehand was running the junior team that plays out of Capitalist Arena, separate LLC that rents from the building. The biggest, on an annual basis, it can be done well. I don't think our arena has been most efficiently run. This is my polite way of putting it. However, the preemptive maintenance is the number one most important thing with ice rink. Verona has shown they've done a very good job. They've had an invested youth hockey community. They have almost doubled the youth skaters that Middleton does in a much smaller enrollment for school. They utilize those parents, those families to do a lot of the grunt work and volunteer work to help keep that arena at a lower cost. And they've also done the preemptive work. Part of the reason that 2013 expense of $585,000 was, I don't want to say mismanagement, but with a company out of northern Wisconsin handles ice rinks, you need refrigeration. You need to do those things. It's kind of like taking care of a car, for lack of a better term. So the arena can be sustainable. They can, and they are. One of the most important ways, the most effective ways in doing that is adding more events where we can have people coming in buying food and beverage, whether it's a hotel rebate that a third party vendor has, or the arena itself, and booking ice time. We do have a strength training facility there that gets utilized fairly frequently. So I believe 2024 will be our best year based on the events and the tournaments, the events, and the camps and clinics we have going on. But one of the areas that we really would like to push is the growth of Middleton youth hockey. And there's just not as many skaters as I think there should be. Part of that has been ice constraint, and DeForest will help that. But that's where we stand. So yeah, Verona Ice Arena is the best example locally of a venue that of a similar setup, at least on the building and operational. Again, I don't know the ins and outs of their first arena. I know it was about $9 million to build the add-on, the second sheet that they finished last year, which was mostly funded through private gifts.
Right, okay. And thank you for that explanation. And Bill, property tax, what would the property tax on this property be?
I will look up that number, but I did confirm with the city assessor that since this would be a property going from an exempt status to a taxable status, that would not count as part of the city's net new construction. So it would not be a levy limit adjustment for the city. It would have the effect of increasing the property tax base, which would have a slightly downward impact on everyone else's property taxes, but not a direct benefit to the city budget. And I'll see if I can get that.
So if property taxes had been charged from the beginning, our tax levy would be X dollars more, or it would have counted towards the net new construction, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, my understanding would be if it were new construction that would have been taxable at the beginning, that would have counted in the net new construction for that year. But changing from current status to taxable is considered a change in status, not a new construction for reporting to the state.
So what we just get from it is just tax dollars we collect annually, and that's it. Based on the value of that property that it's zoned as, or.
It's not an increase in what we.
Yeah, so the city assessor had estimated very roughly that a taxable value for the facility would be $5.5 to $6 million. Again, that would not impact the city property tax levy that we can collect. What that would do is increase the city's tax base, of which we have approximately 5 billion in tax base. So it would be a marginal increase in the tax base, which would very slightly reduce the tax rate.
For each of us.
Yeah.
We'd all pay like a cent. Yeah.
Cents.
Yeah, cents less.
Yeah.
Okay. So tonight we're not taking any action to approve or deny the request. I agree with Bill. Could you bring up the options? And I think we definitely need an appraisal. I'll just say I am reluctant to agree to these changes now, especially because we did just raise taxes years ago. And we're asking our residents to allow us to increase their user fees for the stormwater utility. And so I have a concern about basically giving away what was the value of the property again, Bill? 5 million?
The assessor was estimating a taxable value of 5.5 to 6 million, and that's land and facility,
Land and facility. And we own
The land.
the land.
the land.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I'm reluctant to do that, but at the very least, I think we need an appraisal to know what we would be getting into. And then I also would like to get some input from our tourism director. Just and I don't know, like when I see references to hotel rooms, I don't know if that means rooms or room nights, which,
That means, so for example, the USA Hockey tournament coming up next April, that's 2,500 room nights.
room nights. Okay.
Yeah, so 1,250 in Middleton. Over the course of the year, we probably have, I mean, it's in the thousands of youth hockey players that come in, thousands of room nights that get booked in Middleton hotels from the arena's usage. So that's our biggest, I mean, let's say like, monks or whoever, but our biggest addition to the city is people coming and spending money in Middleton because of the arena. That number over the past 10 years would be, I would reach out to the Destination Madison, Ellie Chin, who runs that organization. And then more specifically, Visit Middleton. They would be able to give you a pretty good idea of the economic impact.
Okay, thank you. And then, well, I guess the appraisal of the land and facility is, that's done. We know that, right?
well, we have an estimate from our assessor that that's
No,
not
but-
as complete as an appraisal.
Okay. Just reading the other options. Colleagues, do you have any questions or thoughts? I did watch the presentation. I unfortunately wasn't at the committee of the whole meeting where this was first presented the night of the bad storm. But I did take a note that you had said expansion is not needed, that obviously you would love it, but if it isn't able to happen, then we'd continue to operate as we are and look to find other solutions. Would you care to share what some other solutions might be?
That would most likely, if our owner and ownership group are going to invest, say, for example, there was a need for another sheet. I'm overseeing the transition to DeForest. That's an indoor and outdoor rink. Aside from some weekend hours, that's essentially filled up already for 25-26 between our Capitals Youth Girls program going over there, the Madison Dragons, which is a girl co-op program on the east side. Wanakee needs extra ice, DeForest Youth Hockey, DeForest High School, and then adult leagues all over town. So if that fills up the way we believe it will, our ownership group would go look to build another rink somewhere else where they can own the land and the building. That would be the next step in growth. Now that remains to be seen. That could happen in 2026, 27. It could be 2029 before that need arises. And maybe in the meantime, there's another group that wants to add on. Wanakee has an arena that is designed to add on. So it could happen by a private group. It could be university. It could be, a municipality. But that would be the solution elsewhere if we're not able to. But 100% accurate. We are fully expecting to, if you guys come back and say, hey, we're just going to continue as is, no problem. We'll continue to operate the two sheets, serve Middleton High School, Middleton Youth, Open Skate, Learn to Skate in our Capitals Youth Program, as is. I know I'm an expert, but I do believe that the difficulty to get additional events, because amenities are building, like St. Norbert just built a private facility in Green Bay. They're looking to get the state high school tournament to come there. They'll have 4 sheets. They're going to look to bring more and more youth tournaments and activities to that facility. And it's usually the bright, shiny object in hockey. They go to the nicer arena. So that's why we believe aside from the capital improvements, the renovation to the West End is needed. For locker rooms right now, we really struggle with female and male officials and female and male skaters when we have bigger events. We don't have enough locker rooms for proper privacy. That's what we would like to do, right? That's not the roof will need to be fixed because the roof needs to be fixed. The renovation west is more to entice more events and more events, more tournaments, more clinics, more business coming into Middleton. So that's that part of it. And the other part of it, again, is just the capital improvements and the maintenance that needs to happen with the arena as is.
Okay. What about, if the owner would want to, if this doesn't change the way our arrangement works right now, and there'd be interest in acquiring space somewhere else, why not acquire the land from us?
Definitely open to it. It just the cost of the DeForest Arena is about 16 million. And that's what ice rinks cost. But in that one, again, they own the land and the building. So there's equity in that project, and that's the goal. But no, yeah, it doesn't mean it doesn't not in Middleton. It was just more, if we're not able to have ownership, I'd rather put my equity and ownership in something where I have ownership of the land and the building, whether that's in Middleton or Cross Plains or wherever.
Okay. All right. Any further questions, folks?
I just have a question, maybe Bill, and I already help me understand. So there was a consideration of selling the land and the facility, but then there was I think, an option of the lease. If you sell the land and the facility, where does the lease come in place at with the city?
So my understanding was that the city rolled out the complete operations. We provided homeland. Others constructed the facility. Ownership of that facility is granted to the city in conjunction with this long-term lease. That allowed the property to become tax exempt, so the city property taxes on the facility. And there was the agreement that there was that's what cash distributed with the city is going to fill with that. So I think that's the purpose of the original structure is largely to provide that property tax exemption to provide land with this long-term lease that we can use for property purposes, different than different lease for that. From here in history, that I think the intent was that for the additional years, and that funds available and distribute. The capital improvement for the region.
No, I actually think it
To relate the history of
quicker than I could. Yeah.
That's my understanding of the region to the original structure. And I think what we're hearing now from that way is because that structure does not serve them as well as they would like for new investment. So that's why that's become not.
It would have been much quicker if you just spoke on my behalf, but. Yeah, that's essentially it. That is our, again, there's different options up there, but that's where, and I wish our owner was here, but in St. Louis would work.
So my question, then pretty simple is, okay, make us an offer on the land, right? So if you buy the land, are you then going to put money into the facility and add another sheet and really build it out? I mean, is that what it comes down to at the end of the day?
The only, not to open a can of worms, the only problem with adding a sheet is we had Sketchworks and we met with civil engineers for water retention, stormwater. The most realistic way without getting involved Pleasant View Road and the opposite side of the road is it would go on to town land. So you'd have to get the town involved in some sort of land. So that was a big push for Middleton youth hockey.
I'm aware of that
We're there,
history.
yeah.
I'm just saying, so whether we gave you the land and whether you owned the land, you're still gonna be faced with the same problem. So say you had a pot of money, someone, a great beneficiary came along and said, here's the money for the land that the city of Middleton wants. Say
Sure.
we want to sell it for $5 and you don't have $5.
Sure.
And someone gives you the $5.
Yep.
Now it's yours. We're done. City of Middleton, we're done with it,
Yeah.
We're gonna tax it and treat it like anything else. Now, how are you gonna make that more profitable or viable in that state versus the current state? Because the reason I'm just challenging us just a little bit is that, there are other arrangements in the city where the city owns land.
Sure.
The people on top of it own the building and they put money into it and it's their business. And they get financing to build it and keep it and to develop it. So I'm just, and it's the airport. Hey,
I'm familiar.
yeah, so I see kind of the same thing. I mean, they're in the same boat, kind of. I mean, the banks aren't turning them down.
So I won't speak, I can't speak on my owner's conversation with the owners of Lake Ridge Bank.
Sure.
And again, let's just say that happens, right? We're still going to, when the roof needs to get redone, the roof will still get redone. And that will be figured out through our owner and through the bank and how that's paid for. It's more, hey, if I want to put $2.5 million into adding locker rooms, why don't I go find a business partner? Let's go put $5 million in a different rink where we own both. That's more we wouldn't, if you said no, we wouldn't try to sabotage the lease, because you still continue to operate and have the user groups there. It would be more the non-needed improvements. I know for certain you would look to do it with somewhere where you own.
I mean, I see, I get it. I mean, there's great benefit to having a rink in town. It's an attraction. And it's great for kids, great for community, people use it. I'm just, kind of thinking like a business person, what's in it for me?
Sure.
At the end of the day. So that's it. I mean,
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that, so right now, the city is technically owner of both the land and the facility. The facility was conveyed to the city in conjunction with this up to 50-year lease. At least one of the options that we discussed when we had met at the staff level was, could there be an alternative where the city would convey ownership of the facility to Capital Ice, retain ownership of the land, and enter into a new long-term lease of the land, potentially at no or minimal cost if the city council was supportive of that. My understanding is that was not as attractive to the owner and Capital Ice for the reasons that Andrew is discussing, but that may be an option to explore.
mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I mean,
we're the owner.
so we own the bad roof and the aging HVAC systems and all that.
Yeah, the Capital Ice, under the terms of the lease agreement, is responsible for maintaining the facility.
Got it. Yep.
But the city
Owns it.
currently owns both, which was, my understanding is that was a requirement for the original tax exemption. So even though the city didn't pay to construct the facility, it was conveyed to the city with this lease agreement to allow for the tax exemption.
Got it. And over the past 25 years, we really haven't made any money off it.
Yeah, it's been pretty small.
Yeah, okay. So we own it, needs repair. It's worth $6 million. And for $1, you'll take it and you'll put all your money into it, keep it here and keep it running. And all we get is tax dollar, so whatever we can tax you on, but we haven't put any money into it either. It's not like we bought and paid for all that equipment, machinery and anything either. So,
Well, but there's the opportunity cost of not using the land for something else. And there's
Yeah,
also the
exactly.
foregone property taxes and whatever the increase would have been in that new construction that year, which you know,
Yeah.
somebody could tease out, but it's probably not worth doing that.
no, yeah, and that's why I say, I see it's a benefit to the community, you know, it's our swimming pool doesn't make us any money, it runs at a deficit. I mean, there's all kinds of things that we have around here that don't make
Right,
money.
but the
so-
swimming pool is ours, you
Yeah.
know, we fully own it. This arrangement is a little different. And that's why I was asking about other examples of successful rinks, because it seems to me like either we treat it like a city entity and have an enterprise account for it,
Mhm.
or it's completely private and trying to operate as a, you know, private, maybe as nonprofit. But we have this weird hybrid.
Yeah, I-
Characterize it like that.
I don't know. Yeah, 19, I don't know who was involved or who on our sides.
Yes, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So we do, I mean, from the perspective of this hybrid arrangement, we actually do have another one of those, and that is the CXC facility,
Hmm.
which was actually modeled after this
After this,
very
okay.
deal. I mean, I think I began drafting the lease from this lease as the model. And so the idea is that I think just like the cross-country ski facility and this, what was being served is a local recreational need that has operational issues that just require expertise and
Yeah, no,
employment and everything that just is beyond the city. So what they get out of it, certainly serving their own benefits, but like I said, there in the lease, there's requirements to have public access and stuff. So we get a little bit of, a public amenity that also has a lot of private benefit as well. And so that's the similar idea behind what we've done with CXC. We've got an entity that is capable of operating a cross-country ski facility, doing the snow. And so we don't have to hire the staff to create that. And also, if it was just only for public use, that would be just so much for the city to take on. So that's kind of the same idea.
Do we
in
get
both
any,
instances.
do we share in the revenue from that?
I don't remember. I don't think there really is any revenue sharing there, because I don't think there's probably a ton of revenue. I'd have to
But
go
it's
back and look.
it's our land.
It is our land, yeah, and that land's a little different because there's dedicated cities, so we have like our pump track up there
Yeah.
that is just the cities to use, and so there's a little bit of difference, but just that concept of having somebody provide recreational opportunities, that just because the scale and everything, the city can't and doesn't want to hire the staff to take all of that on.
so maybe we need a hockey commission.
Yeah, I don't like the blurring of lines. I'm very much black and white person. It's like
We
I'm
need
trying
a
to
hockey
put,
commission and we,
yeah. All right, well, this is a lot to think about. and We don't want to keep you any
Oh,
longer.
yeah, I'm happy to
Yeah.
answer your questions.
Any other questions, Jim? Dave?
it's really interesting. Got some ideas, but
Okay. All right, well, we'll continue this discussion at a committee of the whole meeting, Bill? Is
Yeah, I
the
think
next-
that would be the intent, so that it'd be before the full, at least explore the option of an appraisal and see what that would be involved in a cost. Get input from the tourism director and or Destination Madison, and then look at Verona and compare samples, agreements and structure.
Okay, that would be good. All right, thank you. Anything else you'd like to add? No,
What's that?
I just was asking if there's anything else you'd like to add.
No, I think the appraisal, I think, again, it is a really unique agreement. I don't really know why that was decision was made in 99. Bob, who built the arena, is in the past, so we can't really get his input on it. But I think I think David, you hit on it. It is a community piece. We do have a number of, Middleton High School plays the UPU. But I think the there's that, and the second piece really is, I think we really know, the piece of it. I am really proud of that. I think our group has done a very good job of bringing a whole bunch of youth sports and athletes into the community, which brings, revenue obviously into local businesses, which I think the local, restaurants, hotels would echo that. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much. Andrew.
Thanks.
All right, we have reached the end of our agenda, so we are adjourned.